The federal government says its Naira for Crude initiative with local refineries is not a temporary measure, but a key policy directive designed to support sustainable local refining. The government also says the initiative is still in effect and will continue immediately, overruling the decision of the NNPCL under its former boss, Mele Kyari, which tenured the initiative. At a meeting with representatives of the Dangote refinery on Tuesday, Minister of Finance Wale Edun said the Naira for Crude is still in effect. In a tweet, the Ministry of Finance said the technical subcommittee on the crude and refined product sales in Naira initiative met to review progress and address ongoing implementation matters. Petroleum energy consultant Akinosho joins me now from Lagos studio to discuss this development. Thank you very much. Always good to have you on Newsnight. What do you make of the federal government's position that the Naira for Crude deal remains and takes effect immediately?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. It's a good thing. I mean, that's a very good news. But my own understanding from the little information that I have is that there really wasn't really any rift, and that a lot of news that were going on outside about whether there was this thing being cancelled or no cancelled that is not really true. That's what I get from, my own little intelligence. But yes, in terms of the optics, this is good. Yes, we should. As a matter of fact, considering the way the world is going, President Trump talking down the global economy and the crude prices heading south, and certainly we probably will not be making a lot from export anyway, as we were, say, maybe 2 weeks ago. We probably should focus a lot on selling our crude locally. So this is good, in terms of the optics, I mean. But you did say in your report that implementation matters, whatever that means. I think that we need to be more open and transparent about those so-called implementation matters, because it's not just about Dangote, but also about NNPC, and this is, at the end of the day, about business, and I think that we need to keep that in view. Whereas, while we're always very strongly ideologically backing Mr. Dangote for building this very shiny facility on a hill to $20 billion, we also need to debate how it delivers, part of the mandate. Yes, that's all I will say for now.
It's interesting you point out the acknowledgement by the federal government that there were implementation challenges. And really, I was actually going to ask you, from your standpoint, where do you think the implementation challenges were? And how do you think government and all sides can avoid those pitfalls going forward, since it's no longer a temporary situation?
Okay, so usually we get a lot from Dangote saying something like they are not providing me crude, I have challenges, but you rarely get anything from NNPC, and what they tell you, and I'm usually very surprised when you ask them and they are not themselves coming out and they talk about, payment challenges, Dangote having, essentially what you might call working capital issues, letters of credit not being emplaced, bank guarantees not actualized, those are there. And then, because I work in this environment of trying to understand what everybody is doing where, for purposes of clients. You also get, the sense that the regulator, does not have real ownership of the oversight of the facility. I mean, there are people in that campus, that are not getting the information that the Dangote Group ought to be providing them. On the one hand, they will say that they are in a free trade zone, so they are not. But on the other hand, you also want to get crude for Naira, that's when you become a Nigerian. So those little things are, for me, it's just simple business. You cannot be above the regulator. When we hear something like there's 20 million liters supplied to the market, and you're struggling trying to get those figures from the regulator, and they don't know. I mean, that they shouldn't not know. And is it about the competencies of regulators? Usually, we're very hard on civil servants. We're always saying that they are, they're playing games. They are not. They are trying to get. But I speak with people who cannot on their own be seen to be facing off against, someone who is as formidable, as that. So I think that those things need to, those are the kind of things that should be discussed in those kind of meetings as the one that happened today. That's what I mean by, some of those implementation plans. We really always do not get actual data, from the refinery, yes.
Right. You're saying that,
yes,
the lack of transparency seems to be persistent. But let's, talk more about the fact.
And it's either way,
Both ways.
It's not one place.
Right. Now, the most important point,
yes,
the most important thing then would be, what exactly are the implications of this Naira for crude for Nigerians, for pump price of petrol? Should we be looking forward to, lower, pump price anytime soon?
Okay. So it is interesting that you asked that. You know that in the last 1 week, 2 weeks, the price of Brent, WTI have actually dropped by as much as $10. And that means that we should be expecting that to show up in the pump price. We should be demanding it. You can't sell to us, at 950 Naira at the time that the cost of the, source, is lower than, cost of, you understand what I mean? I don't know how we want to play that. But
it's hovering around $60 per barrel currently.
Yes, exactly. You know that we were closer to $80, roughly 2 weeks ago. Now we're heading towards $59 now. And the price of crude is a major determinant of the pump price. So that is what we can discuss. But otherwise, there's no way you can be asking for anything lower. If the prices go up, if they go to 100, you should be thinking of paying 2,000 Naira. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's really the point. And that data point is very important, yes.
So what you're saying, with a combination of, lower crude prices hovering around $60 and now the Naira for crude sales, Nigerians really should be smiling, be happy. It should be happy times or good times for Nigerians. But then again, it looks like it's a no-win situation when the pump, the global price goes up, whether it's $100 per barrel or not. There's not much benefit really for Nigerians. Yes, the receipts may be higher, but then again, when you trickle down, not much profit. When it's low, same situation.
Okay, but you know what? You know that we have a very good problem. If, for example, we're producing everything here, so it goes into the local economy, it does a whole lot of things for us, so that should mean something in terms of what you and I can do, with whatever it is, our own spending, extra spending or whatever. But the thing is that the way the global economy is going, as much as possible, you want to look local. I mean, you really should not be thinking seriously about export at this point when you are not getting much. You know, you should, as much as possible, be thinking more of the derivatives that you can obtain from, you know, so, and that's where the refining in space is key.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight tonight. Akinosho, petroleum energy consultant. Thank you, as always.